Hello, I'm David Roger, General Counsel for Las Vegas Police Protective Association. In this video, I want to talk to you about using force, Graham versus Connor, in civil matters. And we've talked about this in the past. And I'd like to talk to you today about assisting CPS, or Child Protective Services. And so there are a couple of different scenarios, but first and foremost, understand that Child Protective Services proceedings are civil in nature. And so you have to always keep that in mind when determining how to conduct yourself when assisting CPS, because as we know, there's very little need, and the courts are going to not recognize your use of force when the matter is simply civil, unless there are extenuating circumstances. And that's part of Graham versus Connor, and that's part of Metro policy. And so first and foremost, understand that CPS matters are civil proceedings. NRS 432B.390 deals with taking children into custody when there is some danger. And there is a section in the statute that allows a peace officer to take a child into custody if there's reasonable cause to believe that there's an immediate threat to the child. And so obviously by statute you can do that. And the question is, should you do it? And I leave that to you, your squad mates, your sergeant, to think about, but from my legal perspective, in as much as our goal is to not use a force that will be challenged in court, which may cause you not to receive qualified immunity, because in these matters are civil matters, and the courts look dimly on using force in civil matters. If you have such a situation, you may consider calling CPS and having one of the CPS social workers make that decision and have them take the child, because they have the same authority to take a child when there is an emergency situation. And under those circumstances, perhaps you consider standing by and keeping the peace. I'm not an officer. I don't claim to be an expert in tactics, but obviously if you're wrestling over a child and the parent decides to use force against you, you are at a disadvantage because you're wrestling over a child. And so you may consider under those circumstances to call CPS and stand by and keep the peace. And under the same statute, CPS is allowed to contact Metro or a law enforcement agency to assist them when they have to immediately take a child. And the same circumstances should play into your thought process and your tactical response. Do you go hands-on trying to take a child, or do you stand by to keep the peace and perhaps talk the parent through this so that there is no violence during that process? And then the third scenario is where a child is not in immediate threat of injury, and CPS goes to the court to get an order or a removal order in order to allow CPS to take the child. Once again, the statute allows CPS to contact law enforcement to provide some assistance, and the same process takes place. Even though it is a court order, it is a civil matter. It does not require you as a peace officer to affirmatively enforce that court order. If there is a court order, you may consider standing by to keep the peace and allowing CPS to do their job. If the child isn't an immediate threat and the the scenario that we're talking about is exactly that. There is an order, and the parent refuses to turn over the child. The CPS worker can go back into court, have the court summons the parent in, and they can deal with it in court, whether it's holding the parent in contempt of court, throwing them in jail. All of that is the civil court process. And so at the end of the day, understand that CPS proceedings are civil, and you should consider that in determining what your response is going to be. And just remember that Graham versus Connor and the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, as we've discussed in previous videos, will not automatically assume that your use of force was justified when the matter was civil. Now, of course, if the person uses force against the CPS worker, now a crime has been committed, different scenario. If the parent has threatened you or used force, now it becomes a criminal matter, and you know how to take care of business. As always, thank you very much for watching these videos. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me at droger@lvppa.com. Thank you.
111, 110.